I'm not the type of person who believes in urban legends. Ghosts, monsters. To me, they're all figments of the imagination. Until that night. It started like any other evening. I'd just finished my shift at the convenience store, walking back to my run-down apartment complex on the edge of town. It was early fall, the wind was chilly, and the streets were deserted. Everything seemed frozen in a thick layer of air. I could hear my heels clicking on the cement, and something was strange. An indescribable feeling crept into my mind, as if someone was following me. No footsteps, no breathing, but I knew there was a gaze, cold as ice, following my every move from behind. I turned around. No one was there. Ignoring it, I quickened my pace, but the footsteps were like lead, heavy. The streetlights ahead suddenly flickered, then went out. Darkness enveloped. I stopped, took out my phone to turn on the flashlight, but the screen did not light up. The battery was still there, but it did not turn on. Suddenly, there was a very small rustling sound behind me, a dry sound like someone was dragging something lightly across the pavement. I turned around sharply. This time, there was someone standing about 10 meters away from me. It was a woman. Long, black hair fell down both sides of her cheeks. Her eyes, I will never forget them, cold, empty, and dead. And strangest of all was the white medical mask covering half of her face, standing there, silent, not moving. I took a step back. She took a step forward. I took another step back. My hand tightened around the phone, unconsciously. She was still standing there, but it was as if the darkness around her was swallowing her, making her every movement blurry, strange. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Excuse me, do you need any help?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. She didn't answer. She just stood there, her head tilted slightly to one side. A very small action, but in that moment, I felt a chill down my spine. Then, she took another step forward. Her heels clicked on the pavement, echoing. "Am I pretty?" The question rang out, as light as the wind, like a whisper in my ear. I was startled. She still didn't move her lips. I didn't see anyone open their mouths, but I heard them. I swallowed. "You are very pretty," I answered, as a self-defense reflex, trying to be nice. I hope she's just a freak. A pause. Then she chuckled, a wet, distorted sound, like something was sliding down her throat. Her hand slowly reached up and pulled off the white mask. I froze. Her mouth wasn't a mouth anymore. It was split wide to the ear, revealing a deep, red gash that looked like it had just bled. The two corners of her mouth were sewn together with black thread, crossing over sharp, animal-like teeth, a smile that wasn't human. "So, what now?" The second question, the voice echoed straight into my head. No echo, no air. It was like a cold blast of air through my skull. I screamed and turned to run, abandoning reason, abandoning everything. Just the sound of my heartbeat, ragged breathing, and the sound of heels chasing after me. She didn't run, but somehow the footsteps were always right behind me, no matter how fast I ran.
I didn't dare turn around. Every step I took was like crushing my legs. Every breath was like being squeezed in my chest. But no matter how I turned, changed directions, jumped over stone steps, the sound of her heels was right behind me. Click, click, click. Steady, not rushed, as if she knew for sure that I couldn't escape. I crossed a small dark alley where the streetlights didn't reach. Trash bins were tilted, garbage smelled, stray cats were screeching somewhere. I slipped, fell to my knees on the cold cement floor. My arms were scratched, my knees were bleeding, but I didn't have time to feel the pain. The footsteps disappeared. I held my breath, not daring to move. Could it be that I had escaped? 1, 2, 3 seconds passed. No sound. I raised my head, breathing heavily. No one was standing there. No more cold. The feeling of being watched was gone. And then I turned my head to the left. She was standing there, less than a meter away from me. Somehow, she had been there. Her face, no longer hidden behind the mask, was so close that I could see every red stitch, every drop of dried blood clinging to the corner of her mouth. Her eyes were wide open, white, like two bottomless holes. I screamed, crawled back, stumbled. I couldn't understand how she moved like that. There was no sound, no shadow, as if she didn't belong to this world. She bent down, looked at me. Her head tilted a little more. Her expression was playful, as if she was enjoying the fear. Am I beautiful? Once again, the question rang out, not from my mouth, but from my head. I burst into tears, panicked. Please, please don't, please. She paused and smiled. A smile that stretched from ear to ear, literally. Then I passed out. I woke up in the dark. My head was pounding. I had no idea where I was. The smell of dampness was strong. The ground beneath me was cold and hard as stone. There was no sound except for the pounding of my heart in my ears. I struggled to my feet, leaning against a mottled wall. Moonlight filtered through a small window in the distance, showing me I was in an abandoned house. I couldn't remember how I got here, but I knew I wasn't out yet. Something was here with me. The sound of bare feet hitting the old wooden floor echoed from the hallway to my left, soft but clear. The sound of a wooden door creaking. Someone gasping. I jumped to my feet, ran out of the room and down the dark hallway. The door at the end opened, leading to a wooden staircase. I ran like crazy down it, but every time I turned around, I always saw her long shadow gliding behind me, never touching the ground. I ran outside. The wind was howling. I was at the edge of the forest. I don't know why, but I couldn't find my way anymore. The scenery was spinning. The tree trunks seemed to bend and sway as if they were following me. I kept running and kept seeing the same bush, the same old tree. It felt like being trapped in a nightmare with no way out. I screamed in vain, screamed my name, hoping someone would hear, but only a soft, broken laugh echoed from the wind. That sound didn't sound human. I fell to the forest floor, gasping. Someone touched me lightly on the shoulder. I turned around. No one. But on the ground, clearly imprinted, were high-heel prints, small, deep into the damp soil, and then another pair next to it. Then another pair, surrounding me. I huddled, my hands shaking, as I searched my pockets and found something unfamiliar, an old rusty pair of scissors. I don't remember when I picked it up, but from the back of my mind, I heard a voice say, "If you want to live, you must choose." I sat motionless in the circle of footprints, my hands still clutching the rusty scissors. My heart was pounding, my body was cold, but my mind was strangely clear. That voice still echoed in my head. If you want to live, you have to choose. Choose what? And then, the fragments of memories suddenly came flooding back. I had heard from my grandmother when I was a child about a woman whose jealous husband had cut her mouth open because she was too beautiful. He had whispered in his madness, "Be more beautiful. Let's see who will love you." She died in agony, but did not leave this world. She returned, haunting those who dared to look at her face and answer incorrectly. People called her Kuchisake-onna, the Slit-Mouthed Woman. She did not kill with her hands. She forced them to choose between beauty and death. Am I beautiful? If you say no, she kills you. If you say yes, she will slit your mouth like hers, so you will be pretty like her. Only a few people escape, thanks to the trick of word of mouth. Answer vaguely, like just normal, to make her hesitate, or throw something to distract her. Some say candy can repel her. Sweet cinnamon candy, because that was the smell she hated the most when she was alive. I remember there was a candy bar in my bag. I searched frantically. My hands trembled, and then found it, a cinnamon candy crushed in a paper wrapper. I threw it hard on the ground. The space seemed to break apart. The wind howled violently. Angry whispers echoed everywhere. The atmosphere was sucked clean, suffocating. I closed my eyes tightly. When I opened them, the footprints around me disappeared. There was only darkness and the sound of my heartbeat. But I knew this wasn't over, because in the palm of my hand, the bleeding scissors had disappeared, and I felt something very sharp, deep in my coat pocket. I walked out of the woods at dawn. No one was out. No cars, no voices. The world seemed to have stopped, leaving me alone. I didn't know how long I'd been walking. I didn't know if I was really awake or if I was still trapped in a nightmare that had no end. But I clearly remembered the feeling of standing in the circle of footprints from last night, and my hand empty. Those scissors, they were gone without a trace, even though I had never let go of them. I got home. The small apartment strangely quiet. I looked at myself in the mirror. My face was pale, my eyes were dark, my lips were dry. I looked like I had died and come back to life, but it was still me, right? I took off my coat, threw it on the chair, and there was a metallic clang. I stopped dead. The scissors, the rusty scissors, lay at my feet, covered in blood, as if they had never left my hand. I quickly kicked them away. But when I bent down, I saw something worse. On my neck, just below my ear, was a thin gash, about 3 centimeters long, as if someone had used something extremely sharp to gently make a cut. Not deep, but just enough to hurt. I was no longer sure who I was. From that day on, I didn't dare look in the mirror for too long. I avoided deserted alleys. I didn't dare go out at night. And whenever someone asked me, "Am I beautiful?" I never answered. I just turned away, because I knew one day, if I said yes, I wouldn't be myself anymore. Maybe I was forgiven, or I was replacing her. Because last night, when I woke up from a nightmare, I found myself wearing a white masked.